Hey, family, and thank you so much for tuning back into another amazing segment here on Gems Podcast. With me is my special guest, Janet Forman, and here's a bit about Janet. She is a journalist and film producer, winner of more than 60 writing and photography awards, including two Lowell Thomas gold medals and a silver, the 2014 Bill Muster Gold Medal for Best Cultural Photo, and the 2011 Bill Muster Photo Gold Medal for her single subject portfolio on Abu Dhabi. She was also named Pacific Asia Travel Association Journalist of the Year 2000. She has received awards from SOLAS, NAJA, NATJA, the governments of Belgium and South Africa, and numerous SATW Eastern Chapter First Place Awards. Forman holds an MFA from NYU's Tisch School of Arts and writes from the Brownstone. She renovated in Harlem, New York. And you can find out more information by going to janetforman.com, which will definitely be in the show notes. And today, Janet is going to talk about fearless travel. What does that look like? What are some of her experiences? And how you can do it too. So without further ado, please welcome Janet Forman to Gems Podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I guess I should tell you how I started traveling, or what happened, sort of two cataclysmic events that happened when I started traveling. I was in college, and I wanted to take my college trip to Europe. And I was with a girlfriend, and we went over like two college girls. We had our little suitcases, and just we didn't know what to expect, but we weren't. I don't know. We kind of felt like everybody else that was on this little chartered plane for $200. When we got to London, of course, we had not reserved a place to stay because that was not really done. you just went. And I figured I'd figure out where to lay my head someplace else. So we all went to this sort of, it was way below a hostel. It was, I think somebody called it a hostel, but it was really like mattress to mattress. And it was,
oh wow,
it was fun. I mean, it was fun because a lot of kids from the flight, they said, well, where are you going to stay? We're going to stay. I don't know. And then we all kind of got shoveled off to this place. And when we got there, we noticed that the European kids looked very different than we did. Nobody had a suitcase. They all had backpacks. And everybody was going to be hitchhiking. So we said, well, all right. So we ditched our suitcases. We bought backpacks. Luckily, I had a sleeping bag because one thing, my parents were very laissez-faire about the whole thing, which I couldn't believe. But anyway, my father did say, take a good sleeping bag. So I took a really good sleeping bag, and boy, did I really need it, because we started. We had our itinerary, or the places we wanted to go. No reservations or anything, and certainly no Eurail pass. I don't know, a Europass was kind of expensive then. I guess it's sort of still is, but for a student, even though a lot of kids that were around me had one, that's how they were traveling. They thought that was sort of daring, but I didn't buy one because I said, geez, $600, that sounds like an awful lot of money. I think that's all I had for the summer. So we just were gonna go and take trains or whatever we were gonna take. And but we really never thought of hitchhiking. And so we just did what everybody else our age seemed to be doing. And we got out on the road, and of course it was raining, and we had to go, we wanted to go to Amsterdam, and we had to cross the English Channel, and that meant we had to go up above London in like an industrial area to Harwich, which is a good distance from London. I mean, a couple of hours. And we got out on the road. We took the train, the local transport up to the edge of the city. We got out on the road, and we started hitchhiking. And with it was mostly truckers that stopped for us, but it was fine. They were nice. And we got on the boat. We did the same thing in Amsterdam, and we went to Hook of Holland, Harwich to Hook of Holland, and everybody was hitchhiking. I mean, the crowd, the highway on ramps were like a bus stop.
Wow.
I mean, usually there were like a dozen people there.
So Janet, let me ask a question before you continue on. So whenever you ditch your suitcase and then you said, okay, we're going to be like the rest of the Europeans and we're going to do what they're doing. So you got backpacks and you started hitchhiking. What were your aspects when it came to safety? Because here you are in a foreign country. You obviously don't know these people. And we know that some places around the world, they're not very conducive to Americans. So did you have any thoughts or fear in your mind? Because that is very scary to do in a foreign country. And then you mentioned a lot of the people that picked you all up were truckers.
Well, it's very interesting. The safety issue, it was in the back of our minds, but since everybody was doing it, we figured what could go wrong, Of course, later on in one of those parts of the world that was really not so safe, not because it was unsafe, but because it was in the then Yugoslavia. And we were trying to get from this boat we took to Greece. And we took a boat, and then we actually got lost. And in Yugoslavia, they didn't speak anything resembling English, French, German, Italian, and we'd usually been asking for the Bahnhof because we were supposed to get some sort of bus that was near the train station. They didn't understand Bahnhof. And we ended up on a donkey cart. And the problem there was that it was culturally so different. It was tribal. It was really tribal area. And they really didn't see many Europeans. I guess we kind of got lost and kind of crossed into the area where we kind of got lost because we were asking for the Bahnhof. They didn't understand. They sent us in the wrong direction, and we ended up in really kind of the outback. And we were wearing, just like everybody else, we were wearing t-shirts and cut-off jeans, and just like every European student. When I say cut-off jeans, I don't mean up to my hips. I mean, we're really quite modest for European students, but they thought we were like prostitutes. And they just kept, everywhere we went, people were trying to take us into their houses, and I mean, in a bad way, not in a nice way. And they thought we were just ready to have fun. And then we got separated, the two of us, and somehow we ended up, we're still trying to get back of course, no, there are no cell phones, there are no, and the worst part was when the two of us were separated. And then it was all day, and I hadn't eaten. It was really hot. I was exhausted. Finally, I was sort of taken to a house, and they kind of locked me in. And I climbed out a window when a guy was, the guy kind of had walked away or left, and there was just this kind of old lady there. So I just jumped out of the window and took my backpack and just started hiking through the forest and to a road, trying to look for a road. And then I saw it was hard enough to even express road. And I found these people picnicking, and tried to make myself understood. And they pointed through the forest in a direction. I found the road, and I was walking for hours, it felt like. And then some people came out of the nowhere, and they pointed down the road, and they said, your friend. And I didn't know what they were talking about, but way down the road was my friend. And
Wow.
somehow we had gotten separated, and we got back on the same road, because there was probably just one road in that area. So we found her. That was the happiest moment of my life, when I found her. And then we had to get back, and it was getting dark, and there was no transportation of any sort. So what do? We had a hitchhike. So we started hitchhiking again. We got a ride from a not so friendly trucker who kept trying to grab us. And finally, we couldn't make it. He went through the town and then up into the mountains again. And we said, oh, this is not good. So we said to him, we saw some water, and we said to him, oh, we want to go swimming. So we figured he thought we would be like taking our clothes off. Mm-hmm. And so he stopped the truck. I grabbed the keys. I threw them down a ravine. We jumped out of the truck, grabbed our packs they were in the back of the truck. And then we rolled down the hill, literally rolled down the hill where I threw the keys. And we saw him up there. He was this big fat guy, and we were hoping that he wouldn't try to come after us, and he didn't. And he was fuming about his keys. And we just stayed there for like hours until he maybe found another set of keys or got somebody, I don't know. But finally he went away. And then we had to get back to town, so we had to hitchhike again.
Let's pause here, because this is a lot of information and content, Janet. So you reunited with your friend after escaping from being locked in a house. So you jumped out of the window, go through the forest. By this point, you still haven't eaten anything, right?
I don't think I ate for 24 hours.
Oh my God. How did you find the strength to just keep on going? Because this kind of sounds like a movie. Like, it reminds me of the movie Taken. Have you ever seen that movie, Taken?
Second?
No, Taken, Taken.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like a thriller where the guy, I think he's a former CIA agent or FBI, and his daughter gets taken, and he goes on a hunt across the world to track her down, and etc.
Yeah. I don't think I saw it, but I remember. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so as you're talking through your story, I was like, oh my gosh, she was like in a real life Taken experience. And then you have this run-in with this bad trucker, and then you need to get back to the destination where you came from, so y'all have to hitchhike again. So did your friend eat, or did she get locked in a house, or?
Well, she had actually worse experiences. Some guy took her into the forest and tried to rape her at knife point. But when I found her, she had eaten because somebody rescued her and took her to a little shop, and they gave her food, and it's not that we didn't have money to buy food. It was just so she was eating like a sandwich and drinking a Coke. But I said, well, let's just get out of here. So, I mean, what adrenaline just keeps pumping through you. And I don't know, I was 18 years old. So I, was young enough to withstand, young enough to miss a meal.
A young whippersnapper for sure. So then all of this definitely helped you like gain experience and knowledge with fearless travel as a whole. So after these experiences and you successfully make it back to your destination, what encouraged you to keep on traveling, and did you keep on backpacking around the country to different places, or walk us through some of your other fearless travels?
Well, the upside of it was we just kept being harassed and harassed and harassed in this area, in this part of Yugoslavia. So then finally we found ourselves a hotel. We slept the night. People are trying to climb into our balcony. It was kind of, so I say, let's just get out of here. Finally, we found the train station, and we were really scared. I mean, we were really, we had to go on because we were in the middle of nowhere. So we figured we just keep going down to Greece, as we planned. But when we got to the station, we saw two, and this is very anti-feminist, but we saw these two backpacks that with Dutch flags and very big sneakers, and nobody around them. And so we were looking at the backpacks, and we said, these are two English-speaking large boys. We figured out from the backpacks. And so we said, okay, we're just going to sit here and we're going to be their friends when they come back. And we don't know who they are, but we're just going to attach ourselves to these two guys. And we did. And that was in the 60s, the 1960s. And they're still my friends.
Wow, well, that's a really incredible upside. So, they're your friends. Did y'all marry these guys, or y'all are just platonic friends?
No, we didn't. But we just became like sisters and brother. My friend actually went back home and had a normal life, but we went back. I just fell in love with the idea of Europe, and I moved to Holland in between college and graduate school. I moved to Holland and lived with well, they were at university, and they were in fraternities. Now it's called the Studentenhaus. So I moved into one of their Studentenhouses and began kind of a life with a whole circle of friends in Holland that I still have to this day.
That's incredible. And for anyone that's aspiring to travel, but they may not necessarily want to do it the fearless way, what are some tips and advice that you could give them to travel, whether they're backpacking and they really want to make the best out of their travel experience, but do it safely? Because some people do the well, some places, I don't know if they have Airbnbs around the world, but they have hostels, but like,
Mhm.
just putting your stuff in a place and not really knowing the people, not knowing the security around it, that kind of freaks me out a little bit. But you can really vacation for cheap if you use a hostel.
Yeah, I think hostels, I haven't been, I even rarely stayed in hostels then because they were $2 a night. And that was really, I camped by the side of the road or stayed with people. But I think hostels are a good idea. And well, basically ask people that look to you like you want to be like them. Ask them where they've been, what's a good place to go, where should I eat, what should I do. There was a place in the 60s in Istanbul called the Pudding Shop. And everybody knew about the pudding shop. And it was a place where people went, well, all of the hippies would gather at the pudding shop. And it was a must to go there before you started going to Afghanistan or India, because that's many of the people in Istanbul at that time were on their way to the Far East, to Afghanistan and India. And if you went to the pudding shop, you would find people that had done the trip, and however, by bus, by hitchhiking, well, you couldn't really hitchhike. You had to basically take a funky bus. But yeah, there was a lot that you had to know. And if you went to the pudding shop, you found these people that had done it, and a lot of people that were going to do it. And there was all kinds of notices on the wall. We're driving to Afghanistan. We need a fifth person to share gas. Blah blah, blah. So it was a meeting place. So find the meeting place, which is often the hostel. Talk to people that you feel are like you or like you would want to be, and ask them what's fun, and ask them what not to do. There are later in my travel life, when I started going to the Middle East, there were a lot of rules about, I didn't have to dress. I didn't go to Saudi Arabia, but I went to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and places like that. And I was told very seriously, do not wear tight-fitting clothes. In other words, what I'm wearing now, I couldn't wear because you see too much of this. You should wear t-shirts up to here, and I always wear gym tights. Don't wear gym tights, don't wear tight jeans, because it will offend the people. They won't arrest you or anything in those places, but it will offend them, and you won't, they won't want to talk to you. But if you dress modestly, and here's modest, it's this, and this, don't leave your shoulders bare, even though it's blazing hot. Even it's just your arm, even your whole arm. Don't wear sunglasses when you go into a mosque, because it hides your eyes. When you go into a temple or a mosque in Asia, it's poor form to wear sunglasses. All of these things that you would never think of. People will they'll just come out and tell you, even if you don't ask, but you have to kind of connect with the right people.
Thank you for sharing that, Janet. And have you thought about writing a book about like the do's and don'ts when traveling abroad? Because you have so much knowledge and experience that you have acquired over the years. You've been doing it since you were 18. And where do you currently live now? What's your home base?
Harlem, New York.
Okay, Harlem, New York. And before Harlem, you were in Holland right?
No, well, I was on the Upper West Side. I was in New York, and I bounced back and forth between New York and LA. But no, I lived in Holland between college and graduate school when I was like 19, 20.
Oh, okay. So you've had that international stint in your earlier days.
I came back to go to graduate school, and but still went to Europe for long stretches, and stayed with my friends. And just also traveled around with my husband. Usually when we go, I'm sent on trips all the time, by the country, by press trips, but and they pay my way. But when I go with my husband, and we're paying, and it's just us, we usually rent a house somewhere. And we rent a house for at least a week, and we just stay in one place and travel out, get to know that area.
So just going back to the question, because that's really cool. Do you think that you'll write a book or a blog with like insider edition kind of tips on this is what you should know?
Yeah, well, that's kind of I haven't written a book, but for the last 30 years, first I was a film producer for about 15 years, and then for about 30 years, I've been a travel writer, and I've been writing for exactly that, for all of the big travel magazines all over the world. So I haven't written a book, but I've written hundreds, and I can't say thousands, but hundreds of articles that are that.
Mhm. And thank you for sharing. And at the end, I definitely want you to plug that information. And here's our wild card question before we jump into the call to action, Janet. So recently on the news, we've heard about three Americans that were found dead in the Bahamas at Emerald Bay. What are your thoughts on that story, if you're familiar with it?
Oh, was that, I haven't I heard about that. And I haven't read today's paper, but it sounded like, wasn't it an illness thing? Was it a,
So they were feeling ill and they got checked out, and then mysteriously they wound up dead. So one was a husband and wife, and they had a travel agency, and then another one was another American. And I didn't read too far into it, but it was just cool. It was just so weird that they all found up dead on the same resort in the Bahamas, Emerald Bay, and it was a Sandals property. So I know there's a lot of speculation around that because Sandals is a top brand and a lot of people love vacationing at the Sandals. So I just
yeah.
wanted to just get your opinion, or if you don't know that much about it, we'll just leave the conversation there for now.
Well, the same thing happened in, I think it was the Dominican Republic. Um, Dominican Republic, where people got sick and a couple of them died at a high-end resort. And there's really nothing you can say about that, because really, to be absolutely straightforward, if you want to take the safe side, the safest side, go stay at a five-star resort, because they don't want anything to happen to you. They will go to the end of the earth to make sure nothing happens to their guests. They have security up the wazoo. They have, you know, food safety rules that sound crazy sometimes. So this is just such
It's
an
very
out,
bizarre.
very bizarre. I mean, it sounds like there was some sort of I would say food-borne illness, if they were nauseous from the symptoms I heard. And it happens so rarely. I mean, the thing is, you can't prevent that one time that it happens, just like you can't prevent being on a plane crash and the one in a zillion gazillion times that it happens if you stay on, to quote, safe airlines, the big airlines. It's just, there's no way to prevent it, because you've taken the safest route and you've taken all precautions. And there's much higher percentage that you're going to get sick or die, or if you take the lesser, more adventurous road, but that's more fun. You do take chance. I guess the moral is, you take chances when you travel. You take chances when you cross the street. There's a higher chance of getting something bad happening when you're taking a dicier situation, and a much, much smaller chance of something happening if you take the very safe road. And that's why you're reading about it in the paper, because it's so unusual.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. And as we come to a close with about 5 minutes remaining, I want you to leave the listeners and viewers with your call to action for this segment.
Yeah, well, I would say it seems safe to start traveling again. And I think, and I'm talking about COVID, and I'm talking about the war. I think, people have been staying home for more than 2 years, and they're getting not just stir crazy, but sort of narrow minded, like there's no place like home, sort of thing. And you don't grow, and you don't learn if you don't step out of your comfort zone. And I think earlier, it was stupid, to travel. And even now, I wouldn't go near the Ukraine, any place near the Ukraine, because I don't think you're not going to see a normal world. And I think you may interfere with the efforts there. Like in Poland, for example, they're taking so many refugees and they're so busy. Um, I don't know. I don't think it's the time to go to places like Poland. Um, but I think it's okay. I mean, as long as you mask up when they tell you to mask up, and you know, I think you can eat from roadside stands as long as you follow the normal rule for roadside stands, especially in Asia. It's much safer to eat from roadside stands in Asia. I think it's okay to go traveling again. So you can just get your passport and then get it early, because it's going to take a while these days, um, and just go. I don't think you can hitchhike anymore, though.
And Janet, for anyone that is interested in connecting with you more and learning about the travel articles that you write and etc., please plug your website and where you primarily hang out on social media, if any.
Okay, yeah, my website, and just my website. And they can see what they can see, and they can contact me through the website if they like.
Okay. And what's your website, Janet?
Oh, it's my name, Janet Forman, at janetforman.com. That's the
Okay.
website.
And there you have it, listeners and viewers. You just heard Janet Forman share her fearless travel from when she was going abroad to various places. And then she also writes articles. So definitely go tap in with her. All of her contact information, her website will be there. And then you could kind of figure out what you need from there and then just branch out. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're on 40 plus platforms, and you could see all things video component over on YouTube by just typing at Gems with Genesis Amaris Kemp. Until next time, peace, love, and lots of blessings. Have yourself an amazing one.